This was an event never marked on any royal calendar. No public announcements, no press releases. Not a single whisper was heard until days after it had quietly taken place. Yet within the ancient stone walls of Windsor Castle, beneath the flickering candlelight and the watchful eyes of a select few, something happened that ignited one of the most explosive royal controversies in recent memory. Kate Middleton was privately declared the true queen, not legally, but symbolically. In terms of status, influence, and emotional loyalty, this was a far more powerful statement than any official proclamation, and it sent shockwaves through the palace. But before we continue, we'd love for you to hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying this video. If you just did, we truly appreciate it. Now, let's get back to the main content. According to insiders, senior figures from the Church of England led this low-key ceremony, held almost entirely in secret with only a handful of top royal household members present. The centerpiece was a deeply symbolic act, the spiritual anointing of Catherine, Princess of Wales, as the queen of the future monarch, not just in title, but in purpose. King Charles was noticeably absent. Whether that was due to caution, agreement, or disagreement remains unclear. What's certain is that Queen Camilla was deliberately left out. She wasn't even informed until after the ceremony was over. When she finally found out, sources say she nearly lost her mind. This wasn't just a breach of royal protocol. Camilla saw it as a brutal betrayal, a dagger in her back, one engineered not by the press or public, but by her own stepson. Prince William, the heir to the throne, had masterminded what many now call an unofficial coronation, crowning Kate as the monarchy's next leading lady. To the outside world, everything seemed perfect. Camilla smiled at garden parties, waved at parades, and stood by Charles during official events. But behind palace doors, a quiet struggle was underway, not for power or titles, but for legacy. This is the story the palace wanted to keep hidden. A secret ceremony, a rising queen, and the moment Queen Camilla had to face a painful truth. Her reign was real, but her crown's significance was fading. For decades, Camilla Parker Bowles was Britain's most reviled figure. She wasn't born into royalty, nor did she marry into it in the usual way. Her path was stained with scandal, tragedy, and relentless public scorn. When she finally became queen consort, there were no cheers, just lingering doubt. Camilla's battle for acceptance began long before Charles took the throne. Her affair with the then Prince of Wales during his marriage to Princess Diana cemented her image as the royal homewrecker in the public's eyes. Tabloids painted her as the villain. Diana famously said in an interview, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." For years, Camilla remained in the shadows, excluded from official events, booed by crowds, and erased from public view, while Charles worked to rebuild his reputation. Even after their 2005 wedding, Camilla's role was deliberately downplayed. She never received the title Princess of Wales, and Buckingham Palace embraced her cautiously as the public still saw Diana as the true Queen of Hearts. The tide seemed to finally shift in 2022 when Queen Elizabeth II made a remarkable announcement, openly expressing her heartfelt wish for Camilla to be recognized as Queen Consort. For a brief moment, Camilla appeared to have crossed a major milestone. The public's jeers quieted down. The media tone softened. Royal staff started addressing her with newfound respect and formal courtesy. Yet, despite these changes, Camilla never truly felt fully accepted. Behind closed doors, whispers persisted. Staff members reportedly complained about her cold demeanor and commanding presence. Even as Queen Consort, she was more tolerated than embraced by those inside the palace. Her relationships with her stepchildren, Prince William and Prince Harry, remained strictly professional. And what about the public? While Camilla had made some headway, she still lagged far behind Kate Middleton in popularity and trust. That, perhaps, was the deepest wound of all. While Camilla had fought for decades to gain respectability, Kate seemed to arrive there effortlessly. From the moment Kate stepped into the public eye, she was seen as graceful, poised, and perfectly relatable. She married William without any scandal. She raised their children with warmth and care. She embodied everything the modern monarchy wanted to project: youthful, approachable, and elegant. The media loved her. The public adored her. Most importantly, the palace revolved around her. Camilla had clawed her way inch by inch, but in private moments, she couldn't ignore the fact that Kate was clearly viewed as the true future queen, without controversy or struggle. Every photo op, gala, and carefully planned event seemed designed to send one message: Kate was the future. Camilla, despite her official title, was only a transitional figure. Camilla understood this. A royal aide later revealed that while she'd smile for the cameras, you could see she was closely watching Kate's every move. She didn't necessarily see Kate as a threat, but she observed what everyone else did. Camilla held the title of Queen Consort, but the real heart of the monarchy belonged to Kate. Camilla kept going. She accepted her role with quiet dignity, championing causes like literacy and domestic abuse awareness. She dressed with regal poise, stood loyally by the king, and did her best to present herself as a queen who had earned her place. But beneath her feet, the ground was already shifting. When rumors surfaced about a secret ceremony crowning Kate as the spiritual true queen, it was more than a blow to Camilla's pride. It was the culmination of every insecurity she'd battled to overcome. For her, the question wasn't whether she was queen, it was whether anyone truly saw her that way. And soon, the answer would come, sparking a royal upheaval that threatened to shake the entire kingdom. Prince William has always known his reign would be different from his father's. While Charles had to navigate decades of controversy, lukewarm approval, and Diana's looming legacy, William's path has been carefully crafted, clean, modern, and emotionally connected to the people. From the very beginning, one thing was clear. No one ever doubted who William's queen would be. It wasn't just about love. Kate Middleton, now the Princess of Wales, was embraced as the future face of the monarchy in a way Camilla never was. Whether on royal tours, charity events, or state dinners, the public's reaction to Kate remained unwavering: respect, admiration, and an almost legendary grace. William noticed this dynamic. Behind the scenes at Kensington Palace, surrounded by a new wave of advisors and strategists, a plan took shape to modernize the monarchy around himself and Kate, shedding the weight of past controversies. To insiders, this was far more than a fresh look. It was a generational handover. One palace source revealed, William doesn't want a monarchy that stumbles under the baggage of Charles and Camilla's history. He wants one reborn in his and Kate's image. So, gradually, William began transforming the institution from the inside out. He pushed for a leaner, tighter royal family, cutting back on inflated titles and grand ceremonies. Next came subtle shifts in event scheduling, media management, and internal rules. He centralized authority within his own team and quietly reduced Camilla's public role, all without making it obvious. But the boldest move came when William apparently greenlit a secret symbolic ceremony. A private gathering honoring Kate as the spiritual future queen. No official record existed. No cameras were allowed. But it was real, and everyone in the palace knew. When asked why he took such a step, an aide recalled William's eerily calm answer. The people have already chosen their queen. I'm just making it official. For William, this wasn't about legal titles. It was about momentum. And Kate had it. Despite Camilla's efforts and status, she had never fully won the public's affection. William knew the monarchy's future depended less on protocol and more on trust, and the public trusted Kate. It only made sense, he believed, to symbolically crown her as the monarchy's moral leader. After all, she'd already captured the nation's heart. This quiet ceremony was a gesture toward the future, a future where the next queen was already in place. Of course, this new reality came with consequences. Camilla had fought too hard to simply fade away. But William, calm and strategic, pressed forward. He didn't need Charles's explicit blessing. Public approval was all that mattered. And he had it. This wasn't just a new chapter for the monarchy. It was a deliberate rewriting of succession, legacy, and public image. At the center of it all were William and Kate, not just heirs, but the architects of a monarchy reborn. Camilla remained queen in name, but she had been quietly sidelined. That secret ceremony changed everything, and the storm it unleashed was beyond anyone's control. Had anyone outside been allowed to witness what unfolded, it would have made headlines around the world. Deep within a secluded chapel on the Windsor castle grounds, bathed in the soft glow of candlelight and framed by towering stained glass windows, a select group of royals, clergy, and trusted aides gathered for what many now call Kate's quiet coronation. This wasn't a legal crowning or a constitutional shift, but to those present, it held equal weight. A solemn ceremony affirming Kate Middleton as the true queen in waiting. There were no trumpets blaring, no balcony appearances, no royal robes. Instead, there was a profound stillness, sacred, intentional, and deeply meaningful. The ceremony had been months in the making, shrouded in total secrecy. Only a handful of people knew about it. The Archbishop of Canterbury, a few senior royal advisors, and, of course, Prince William. Even King Charles was kept in the dark, with only vague hints that a private spiritual event was underway. When evening fell, security was discreet but tight. There was no grand procession or motorcade. Kate arrived quietly in a black sedan, dressed simply in cream, her gentle expression belying the weight of the moment. Inside the chapel, candles flickered softly on the altar. White lilies, Princess Diana's favorite, replaced the usual royal symbols in a subtle tribute. The atmosphere was heavy with reverence, not tension. As the Archbishop spoke, it became clear this was more than a blessing. It was a passing of the torch. Sources say he spoke of legacy, connecting Kate to a lineage of queens who had guided the monarchy through hardship and renewal. At one point he turned to her and said, "You were not chosen by blood. You are chosen by grace. The future will look to you not for your rank, but for your character." Holding back tears, Kate remained composed. Witnesses say she did not waver as the Archbishop gently placed his hand on her head and anointed her with a single drop of oil, said to be from the same vial used at Queen Elizabeth's coronation. Then came the final words, echoing through the hushed chapel like a thunderclap in spirit and duty. "Rise now as the queen who will be." The small group, including top aides, members of William's team, and select clergy, stood in silent acknowledgement. No applause followed. There was no fanfare, only quiet respect for a ritual never meant to be photographed. Kate's face was serene as she left the chapel, but her place in the monarchy had changed forever. On paper, she remained the Princess of Wales. But in the hearts of those who mattered, and in the symbolic fabric of the crown, she had quietly become its emotional ruler. That night, no official records were created. No paperwork was signed. But inside the palace, the message was loud and clear. Kate had been spiritually crowned. Whether Camilla liked it or not, the future throne belonged to her. Camilla wouldn't learn about it for several days, and when she did, the fallout would shake the palace to its core. When the news finally reached Queen Camilla, it didn't come through formal channels or from King Charles himself. Instead, it was whispered by a frightened aide who could no longer keep the secret. "They anointed her," the assistant reportedly said. There was a ceremony. Kate was blessed as the future queen. It's already being called her private coronation. Camilla initially said nothing. Witnesses say she froze, her eyes fixed, her teacup trembling slightly in her hands. Then came the explosion. She slammed the delicate china against a nearby table, shattering it, unleashing a fury her staff had never witnessed before. "You will not erase me!" she screamed, her voice sharp enough to shatter glass. "I'm the queen! The queen! Not that girl! Not her!" Years of public restraint, careful political moves, and royal composure vanished in an instant. The poised Camilla finally released the storm of fear, resentment, and insecurity she'd held inside for so long. For Camilla, this was about more than just a symbolic ceremony. It was her entire legacy being wiped away behind her back. She had waited decades for the crown, survived scandals, endured public hatred, and stood loyally by Charles through exile and disgrace. She fought her way to the top despite relentless palace politics and public scorn. And now, Kate had been secretly anointed. Worse, Charles hadn't stopped it. In fact, she soon learned he knew all along and said nothing. "He's letting her have it all," Camilla allegedly cried to her private secretary. "The throne, the people, and now the crown. I stood by him out of decency, but I wasn't good enough to keep what was mine." 2 days later, Camilla demanded a meeting with William. He agreed, but came alone, without Kate. When she confronted him, demanding to know who authorized the ceremony, William stayed cold and calm. "This isn't about titles," he said flatly. "It's about the future. People already see her as their queen. We just made it official." Camilla's voice shook with fury. "I'm the queen consort. Don't you understand what that means?" William didn't flinch. "Yes," he replied. "It means you were accepted. It doesn't mean you'll be remembered." With that, he walked away. Camilla got the message loud and clear. She held the title, but only in name. The real crown, affection, legacy, and loyalty belonged to someone else. Behind closed doors, she threatened to step back, to retreat from public life, even to release a statement, anything to reclaim her pride. But advisors convinced her to stay silent, warning that any public outburst would only prove William's point. So Camilla remained. She showed up at events, wore her jewelry, smiled for the cameras. Yet everyone inside the palace knew something had broken. The queen consort had suffered a humiliation worse than losing her crown. She was made irrelevant while still wearing it. Her reign wasn't over, but it had become hollow. And the worst part? The world barely noticed. All eyes were on Kate. Camilla's breakdown wasn't just a personal low, it sparked a full-blown, behind-the-scenes clash within the royal family, exposing a quiet but very real split between two camps, the old guard and the new wave. On one side were Queen Camilla and her supporters, those who had weathered decades of tradition, scandal, and renewal during Charles's reign. These courtiers, advisors, and family loyalists championed a monarchy rooted in history and precedent. For them, Camilla's rise was a chance for redemption, a way to modernize the crown without abandoning its foundation. On the other side stood William and Kate, undeniably the heart of the monarchy's future. More than heirs, they had the backing of a younger generation of strategists and a public emotionally invested in their image. They were polished revolutionaries, redefining the monarchy for the age of social media, streamlined operations, and emotional connection. At first, the divide wasn't explosive. There were no public spats or dramatic speeches, but the signs were clear. Camilla's public appearances dwindled. Statements once widely circulated through royal channels quietly faded away. Kate stepped in with practiced grace, drawing a steadily brighter spotlight at events where Camilla had once taken center stage. Even within Buckingham Palace, loyalties shifted. Staff members who had served Camilla's office began requesting transfers to William and Kate's team. Loyalists of the late Queen Elizabeth II, once the staunchest defenders of tradition, were quietly beginning to admit that the monarchy's center of power was shifting. Younger advisors whispered about an inevitable change in the tide. The real test came during the annual Royal Foundation Summit. This year, William and Kate took the lead, replacing Charles and Camilla, who had traditionally been the hosts. Camilla was listed as an attendee but didn't show up. Reports said she pulled out at the last minute, citing exhaustion. But palace insiders knew the truth. One aide didn't mince words. This wasn't her stage anymore. She refused to sit front and center while everyone stood for Kate. Even King Charles, known for his diplomatic balancing act, found himself caught in the middle. His instinct was to heal, to bring peace. But after Kate's secret anointing, Camilla no longer trusted him. Now, both camps scrutinized his every move. Behind Windsor's walls, the once united royal family had split into two courts. The official monarchy, led by Charles and Camilla, carried out ceremonial duties. Meanwhile, the emotional monarchy, the one that captured hearts and headlines, belonged to William and Kate. It was as if the crown had been fractured. Camilla realized that despite all her titles, she had been outplayed, not by scandal or exile, but by a younger, sharper generation who changed the rules without announcing it. The monarchy was still standing, but no longer whole. The queen consort had become a relic, a ghost haunting a palace preparing for a very different kind of queen. In the glittering world of royalty, power often shifts quietly rather than with fanfare. So Camilla, once seen as the monarchy's savior, was slowly fading away, not dethroned, but sidelined. Still adorned with jewels and addressed with proper respect, she stood on the edge of a stage that had moved on without her. Though she still shared the crown with King Charles in name, it was Kate Middleton who carried it in the hearts of the public, not because of any official decree or bloodline, but because of belief. That private ceremony, the media's fascination, and the public's affection had combined to create a quiet coronation no one in the palace could deny. Kate was more than just the heir's wife. She was the monarchy's future matriarch, the true queen in waiting. In the eyes of many, she already was queen. Now, Camilla roamed the palace halls weighed down by irrelevance. Her hard-earned acceptance was slipping away like sand through royal fingers. Her smile and titles remained on display, but behind closed doors, all illusions were gone. The legacy she fought so hard to build had quietly been rewritten, and she was no longer the author. As William and Kate rose, leading with a vision of modernity, grace, and public trust, Camilla found herself cast in an unexpected role, a bystander in the monarchy she once struggled to claim. For now, she watched from the shadows of Windsor, from Buckingham's quiet corners, from the silent rooms where decisions were made without her. And though her crown still rested upon her head, its weight no longer commanded the throne. Kate now held it, not by law, but by inheritance. Camilla understood this all too well. The monarchy had turned the page on Queen Camilla. This might be her final chapter.